Da-da-da. Hey, we're back again. Welcome to another edition of The Incredible Hoax. I am Mark Hoke, movie enthusiast, writer, composer, joined by
Chris Hoke, editor,
wonderful human
writer.
being.
Yeah, editing. There's if you look over, you see my desk, my wallpaper. Look this way. Yeah, is a caption or a frame from Cowboy and Lucky. See, there's evidence that stuff is happening.
Yes. We are once again deep within the
bowels
of
Red Sea.
Or
the bowels
and the
of
Bat
Red
Cave, as I like to call it.
This fortress of solitude.
Da-da-da.
We're not using the Canon. We're not using my crappy camera I use at like birthday parties and the zoo and stuff. We're actually using a real camera.
Yeah.
And my camera is getting fixed as we speak. Called today.
Woohoo!
And paid for them to fix it.
That's exciting.
So, well, it's exciting that it's getting fixed. It's not exciting that I'm out money.
Oh, well, that part.
But
that sucks.
That's
that
neither
blows.
here nor there. So, anyway.
But yes, that's the technical side. But hey, we're on sharp looking great HD.
That's right. All of our pores and zits and fatty tissues coming through on camera.
And looking great.
Exactly.
Today we have not one but two new movie reviews. That's kind of cool.
Right.
That's a first for us. So
to do two reviews.
To do two new.
Two new reviews.
Your reviews. Yeah, we've reviewed stuff,
but not new.
New, brand new.
Just usually
hot
just
off
do
the
one
press.
new one.
Yeah.
But we went and watched a lot of movies over Christmas break.
Yeah.
I watched a ton of movies. That's all I did.
Yeah. Well, let's start with Black Swan, because I think we're going to have more to say about the next one. What did you think of Black Swan? Just came out, Darren Aronofsky director.
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, it's like The Wrestler meets Fight Club meets Swan Lake. I liked it. I liked the aspect where it showed. I like the scenes showing the physical toll. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's lots of scenes in there where she's getting her bones and joints realigned, and just like he did in The Wrestler, where he spent a lot of time, showing the physical toll of wrestling.
Yeah,
he shows the physical toll of dancing. I mean, her split toenails and joints getting aligned, and back hurting. I liked all those shots, and Natalie Portman played a really good part of slipping into a weird, strange psychosis.
Right.
And I liked it. I thought it was good. It's one of those movies that you don't want to give away too much. I don't want to spoil anything. I don't want to.
We'll have to do a spoiler alert, because
or do you want to do a
spoiler alert? A lot of my thoughts are probably going to be spoiler. But
so do you want to do a spoiler thing?
Here in a second, yeah. Let you finish your thoughts.
Well, I can talk about it without doing any spoilers, so we'll let you do that. I liked it. I thought it was well directed. I thought Natalie Portman was very good. It was probably definitely her most physical role as of yet, and I thought I guess it's probably my favorite performance of hers to this point. She's not somebody who's done a whole lot of challenging stuff. For the most part. I mean,
well, she's been solid, I think, in everything she's done.
Yeah.
But this is certainly a more kind of a challenging role. I mean, I'm sure she had to take ballet lessons.
Yeah, I think she did like 6 months of training.
Yeah, and go through that training, the rigors of that. So you got to applaud that alone.
But I mean, like psychologically, this was definitely her most challenging part, because usually, like the Star Wars movies, I mean, she was like everybody else in the Star Wars movies. She basically just showed up.
Stoic. Yeah.
She just showed up, spat out the lines, and went home and had dinner. I mean, that's about as much thought she put into that. No offense to her, but that's how they made those movies.
Yeah.
So, to this point, she just had to do a whole lot, other than The Professional, which is like her when she was like 12 or whatever.
Yeah.
So definitely it's probably
young,
I think it's definitely my favorite performance of hers. I don't know if it's one of the best movies of the year or anything like that, but I think she should get nominated. I think she should definitely get nominated.
Well, a lot. It's going to get a lot of press because, for one, Natalie Portman is good in it. This has been 2010. I think it's just been a weak year. Yet another year in the last 10 years where we've just had a very weak offering of films. But in a year this weak her performance is clearly going to get nominated and a lot of attention. But even if it was a strong year, she'd still be deserving of attention.
Yeah,
so
it's a good part.
However, when the Academy goes to from 5 to 10 nominees, a film like for Best Picture, it's probably going to get nominated just because the offerings this year have been so weak.
Yeah, it would. I don't think. I mean,
in a normal year like 2004, that was a really strong year, and 5 nominees, it wouldn't get nominated. But
no, and if it, I hate doing top 10 lists and stuff. I hate it with a passion because I can't remember well enough. I don't remember well enough what I saw throughout the year. It takes me so long to go, what did I see? And I have to think about it. And I always leave something out. So I personally hate, you're not going to get a 10 best out of me.
Yeah.
But having said that, I doubt it'd be on my top 10 or anything.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I liked it.
But
I liked it.
That doesn't take away. It's still, it is I would give the film 3 stars.
Yeah, I'd say 3 stars.
It's a good movie. What I thought, this is the non-spoiler part of my thoughts. I thought it was an experiment, if you will. I think it was an exercise by Aronofsky because if you look at it, normal storytelling is you have a point of origin and then there you take your character to a different destination. There's growth there. Her character, from the opening scenes, there's already hints of what's going to happen in the third act. So you kind of get that right up front.
Right.
So what you're really watching is just things kind of escalate and get worse, but there isn't like a big change or anything. Plus, a lot of the thematic elements, you'll go, some of this is from The Wrestler, isn't it? The comparisons are obvious. I did think it was interesting that some of the scenes, like that opening scene where it's supposedly a dream, was like right out of Killer's Kiss by Stanley Kubrick. He has a scene in there where the love interest, it's a flashback and it shows her doing her performance. The whole time she's narrating what happened to her and then why she isn't in ballet anymore. And that whole sequence reminded me of the Kubrick film. So little touches like that. But I think it was a worthy experiment. It came out okay.
But I get the sense you don't like something about it, and this is when we're getting to the spoiler part, right?
Yeah, I guess we'll go into the... Okay,
spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! And blame him. Don't blame me. He's the one doing the spoiler. Go for it.
Well, it's not bad or anything, but to me, it's kind of like a...
Yeah, but I know when you don't like something about it. When we just say, hey, when I just say, hey, have you seen such and such? And you go, and you respond, whatever it is, I know immediately whether you liked it or not. And I know you gave it 3 stars, but I can tell there's something bugging you.
Well, it's not bugging me. I was just kind of underwhelmed.
Okay, we'll go.
I'm underwhelmed because
lay it on him.
I've seen enough of these thrillers.
It was a thriller.
Well, it's closer to a thriller than anything else. A psychological thriller.
Psychological thriller, yeah.
Well, for one thing, all right, we're in the spoiler part. For one thing, I think it's pretty obvious that you're not really quite sure if the mother even exists. That she could we can't really trust the fact that she's real. Because there's indications in the beginning where she's talking about what she's going to do for the day, and you keep seeing her talk and the room's empty. And then all of a sudden the mother keeps appearing in awkward ways. In one scene, she goes into her room and like takes pictures down. Then all of a sudden, the mother's there again. So it's like you get all these hints of her background that you wonder if this is kind of like Norman Bates in Psycho, whether this is kind of her. She went through abuse, which led to her schizophrenia, and the mother is a total fabrication of her own. Her own.
I didn't pick up on that at all.
Really?
No, I didn't pick up on that at all. Go ahead, keep going.
Well, anyway, that's just. But I mean, there's not much else to say.
Did you pick up on that? Yeah.
Really?
Steph's on camera. She watched it too. So.
I think that's there. Yeah.
I'd have to watch it again. I can neither deny or confirm what you just said.
Because she comes and appears at awkward places. I mean,
well, yeah, she does.
And we already know that at one point they kind of suggested the mother may be doing the abuse. That's part of it, and that's why she kind of wants to put the beam on the door to keep her out.
I think it's on the mother doing the abuse at all.
Well, yeah, I thought that was there too. I thought the whole idea that the mother was certainly abusive, where at one moment she gets the cake and then she's going to throw the cake away, and she's like, and then there's another scene.
But direct abuse to her.
Possibly.
I mean, it's one thing. It's one thing to throw a cake down in a psycho rage, but it's another to I don't recall a scene of suggesting physical abuse upon Natalie Portman.
Well, I think that is suggested. I don't think it's one of those things where it's not overt, but I think that was that's why I say the film was kind of an exercise.
I'll have to watch it again.
There's a lot of hints of things in this film that they just kind of he doesn't want to give you.
All right, it's the point.
Well, yeah, like the whole in the beginning, right away that this girl's already has something wrong, and she's already seen. And this is in the Act 1 that this girl's already got some schizophrenia.
Yeah. Well, what's the next issue besides the mom? Move on to the next. What's the next thing? I know there's got to be something else you didn't like.
Oh, at some point I just felt like the movie. I knew where the movie was going, and I just kind of was on autopilot. When she goes to the club scene, with Mila Kunis, at that point I feel like I've seen that same scene 1,000 times in other movies, and so at that point I just was really getting bored with the picture.
All right.
But then of course it goes into the big finale. And, because we've seen these same dance steps, I'll admit I don't know anything about ballet. But after a while, you see these steps, they all look the same. So, again, I was kind of getting bored with seeing her doing, haven't we seen these same moves over and over? And we probably have, because she's been rehearsing like mad. But, I mean, I just felt it just kind of went on autopilot, and I knew the movie was going to end the way it did, so that wasn't a surprise. But, like I said, it's a worthy exercise, and it's okay.
I didn't take it that way.
It's kind of underwhelmed, but that's okay.
I didn't take it the mother thing. I didn't see that. I saw the mother was definitely overbearing and definitely too strict, and she drove her too hard and all those kind of things. But I just saw Natalie Portman as just being, she's got emotional problems.
Well, I think the mother figure represents kind of that repressive side of her.
Absolutely.
So anytime that side with that kind of white swan character would start to feel like, ooh, I'm losing control. Yeah. There comes the mother. And
it's definitely a movie about repression.
Sure.
And her emotional inability to handle it and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I didn't see the mother as a I took her a little more literal than you did. I took her way, way more literal, apparently, than you did. I took her as...
I didn't take her literal.
I took her as being a real person who was very oppressive, put Natalie Portman in a state of repression, and she repressed all those emotions. She tried to keep her that way, and she was just too rigid and and all those things. And Natalie Portman had no outlets but through her dance, but everything her mother taught her wouldn't let her use dance as that outlet.
Yeah.
And
it could only take her so far.
And then she would saw all these other dancers come into her life, like Mila Kunis, or however you say her name.
Yeah,
Meg.
Mila Kunis. Yeah.
Meg, basically, from Family Guy. She saw Meg was like the total opposite, and she envied her, and she just didn't know how to handle all these emotions, and she had no sexual outlets, and she had no artistic outlets, and she was just this big ball of repression, and finally, in her warped sense of reality, the only way she could achieve it was through an artistic expression.
Yeah.
But she takes it in the most strange way she can, and I don't want to give away the total ending here. But she chooses the weirdest way to do it,
Yeah.
I mean, as an artist, I let some of my frustrations through what I write and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Even in Cowboy and Lucky, some things I've wrote, it's me venting out some things,
Yeah, and I have no problem with that.
And whether people that read it or see the show ever knows or not, that's fine. I don't care if they do or don't. I just know I use it for that. and she just never learned how to either do it, and then when she learned how to do it, to control it.
Right. No, I agree with that. And
you just take it that step further.
I'm just saying that I don't necessarily. I'm not even saying that. I'm just suggesting that it may be that the mother isn't real, but the movie still works, taking her as a literal creature as well.
Yeah.
But I just I think she's a lot like, and again, we're in the spoiler alert section. She's a lot like Jack in Fight Club. She's an unreliable narrator, so
Wow, yeah.
that's the way I take it.
Okay. All right, moving on. True Grit.
True Grit.
All right.
Well, I'll say that I gave it 3 stars.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
However, once again, I mean, it's another weak year. It's getting a lot of press. It's going to get nominated, but in a strong year where you only have 5 nominees, I couldn't imagine that film being nominated. But I thought it was good. I don't think it beats the John Wayne version, to be perfectly honest with you. It has some things that I like better. The one thing I do love about this film, and the reason really to see it, is the dialogue, the script, and the dialogue, and just listening to these characters argue with one another is a joy to listen to. So for me, that and a solid performance by Hatley Steinfeld, the young actress playing Maddie, and Jeff Bridges is the reason really to watch this film.
Well, I liked it. I think if it wasn't a remake, or I know it's supposed to be, well, it's more true to the book. It's a remake. Forget it. It's a remake. If it was an original movie coming out and there was no John Wayne version, it would totally be dismissed. I mean, I don't mean that to say I didn't like the movie. I liked the movie, but I don't think it would be regarded very much if it wasn't the fact that they remade a John Wayne movie. So having said that, I liked it. It's been years since I've seen the John Wayne one, so I'm not going to say I liked it better or worse. I don't know. I thought the dialogue was really good. My biggest critique of it was slow. There were some portions in it that were pretty slow.
Yeah.
And I don't recall when I watched the John Wayne one having that feeling that it was moving slow. You know?
Yeah, the pace is a little brisker. Yeah.
Yeah, and but the dialogue's good. The performances are all good. I don't really care for the LaBeef character because I didn't like Glenn Campbell in the original. I didn't like Matt Damon in this one. So I just don't like that character is what it comes down to.
Well, it's an odd story. I'm just not a fan of the story that much because the most interesting character is Rooster Cogburn.
And the girl to me.
If I'm taking account both films, but she's really more interesting. I'll grant you in the Coen Brothers version, the Maddie character, she is more interesting here. But if we can segue into a spoiler alert section,
spoilers and True Grit.
Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
I just did not care for the coda, that ending coda. I was like, why do we need this? The little, they jump cut to 40, 50 years later.
Oh, okay.
And I'm I could care less about all this.
that's the Coen Brothers. I haven't read the book.
I hated that.
Well, the Coen Brothers have been doing this. They started it with No Country for Old Men because that was the first movie they ever did that was adapted from another material and not their own original work.
Right.
And then True Grit would be only the second. And I haven't read either book. I'm not a reader. We've already talked about this in the show. I could give a crap about less about reading books.
Right.
And I've said that and, deal with it.
Yeah. Movies are a different medium anyway.
But one of the things they were praised for and they were noted for is No Country for Old Men. They did exactly what the book said.
Yeah.
If you read the book and you watch the movie, they're the same.
Right.
I'm guessing that little ending was in the book and they just put it in there.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I would rather it had ended like with the John Wayne one.
Yeah, that was a much better and
the John Wayne ending was great. I mean, because he rides off into the sunset and
exactly.
I can't remember what he says, but he says something that's really cool, and I think he hops the fence with the horse and rides off into that was a cool ending. This ending was it was a little too I don't know.
Well, it's a somber and down. It just seemed unnecessary. That's the word we're looking for. It's unnecessary.
Yeah.
I mean, It's bad enough, like, well, he brought her back, he saves her life, but she loses an arm. You're like, well, that kind of sucks.
And then she never saw LaBeef again.
She never sees LaBeef again.
She never saw Rooster Cogburn again.
She becomes an old spinster.
Yeah.
And who's really just kind of cranky and a bitch.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, well, that's kind of sucks. Because, I mean, at 14, she has a
feisty.
She's just feisty, but she has a lot of wit. She's clever.
She wasn't a bitch.
But she wasn't a bitch. You're thinking, well, she'll be all right. This, and they keep saying she's ugly, and they do this in the John Wayne movie too. They keep saying Maddie's ugly, and you're like, well, that's kind of harsh, don't you think?
Well, I think it was the times.
I guess so. I thought that was kind of harsh, but
yeah. Well, I mean,
I was like, well, both definitely in both movies. Like, well, they at least qualify for cute. I mean,
yeah.
Come on. That's a little harsh.
Well, I didn't really care for the little extra thing at the end, but not enough to make it of note to me. I just sort of took it as it was, and
yeah.
But because I knew that's what the Coen brothers were doing. That was in the book, and they just did what was in the book.
Right. Well, I'm
having not read the book.
Yeah, I would suspect you're right.
But here's the thing. Here's the most. I don't have a whole lot to say on True Grit, to be honest with you. It was a little slow. Had good dialogue. But the main thing I'll note about it is every Coen Brothers, for me, except for No Country for Old Men, you watch it the first time, you're like, eh. And then you think about it, and you watch it a second time, and then it's good. Mm-hmm. I mean, the first time I watched Fargo, I had the same reaction. First time I watched Big Lebowski, I had the same reaction. Mm-hmm. The only movie they've ever made that I saw the first time, and I was like, oh, man, it blew me away, was No Country for Old Men. The first time I saw that movie, I couldn't get enough of it.
Right.
I wanted to watch it over and over and over again. And every other movie they made is like I said. This one was exactly the same way. I watched it, it's kind of like, eh. But now I kind of like to see it again. Because I think about it more and more, and now I start to get it. Because the first time you watch it, their dialogue is good, but it's delivered almost like stage-like. The dialogue is delivered with a stage delivery.
Well, and they say it pretty fast too. There's a good.
And it's that stage delivery. It's not really movie delivery. So I'd like to watch it again because that's the thing. The Coen Brothers, what they do in their movies is they always find they have a lot of fun with dialogue, and in doing so, they have a lot of fun with word choice and dialect. Yeah. Oh, every movie has a unique dialect. I mean, Fargo was that northern, Norwegian, whatever it is. Whatever that ethnic type up there, and like Minnesota.
The Scandinavian
there you
kind
go.
of thing. Yeah.
That kind of a dialogue, and then in Hudsucker Proxy, they use the words and form from like the old movies of the 40s and stuff. No Country for Old Men, had a lot of Texan type of, and then on and on. Every movie they've done. Miller's Crossing used the classic gangster fast pace from the 30s and 40s movies and whatnot.
That kind of slick.
They have a lot of fun with dialect and word choice, and this movie was no different. They used like a stage delivery. Yeah. The first time I watched it, I was kind of like, this kind of sucks. But then the more I thought about it, the more I liked it. Now I want to see it again.
Well, to me, that was the real joy of this movie, and the real reason to watch it is and they'll probably get nominated because the dialogue is so.
You mean screenplay?
The screenplay, yeah. They'll probably get nominated for screenplay. Yeah, because it is a really interesting.
If it wasn't for the 10 nominees, it won't get nominated. But since there's 10 nominees, they'll probably get nominated.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Yeah.
Well, we got to do the quote of the week.
We got the movie rental suggestion.
Our movie rental suggestion. I'm never prepared for.
Well, I will say.
I got one.
You got one? Go ahead.
All right. Since we're doing True Grit and we talked a little bit about John Wayne original, go and rent Big Jake, one of my all-time favorites.
That's a good one.
John Wayne movies. Big Jake. I love that movie because John Wayne's just a badass in it. And two, Richard Boone is one of my favorite villains ever. Richard Boone, the bad guy in Big Jake, is absolutely, without a doubt, on my top 10 list of favorite villains ever.
Well, and he certainly has one of the great voices.
His voice, the dialogue.
Of the 20th century. He's
got some great lines in it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
His shot, my shot, or when he goes, your fault, my fault, nobody's fault. That boy's gonna die.
The boy is just as dead.
Exactly.
I
I love that line. I love that line.
Well, my movie rental suggestion is it's winter, so one of the best winter comedies I could think of is The Last Detail.
Oh yeah.
It's from 1973, directed by Hal Ashby.
Did I do that one?
And
was that one of my video choices of the week one?
No,
I know what. Okay.
I think we mentioned it, but
no, I know what it is. I was doing a movie a day on my Facebook for a while, and that was one of the ones I did. So
Okay.
go, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to steal your thunder.
No, well, no, that's fine. Director Hal Ashby.
Yeah.
Did that film, and Jack Nicholson is hysterical. It's
Classic Jack.
That is like one of his best performances.
Yeah.
Check it out. It's basically him as a MP, and they have to escort a young Randy Quaid to the stockade.
It's Shore Patrol. They're in the Navy.
Yeah, Shore Patrol. Yeah, whatever the equivalent of that
exactly.
is. And so they go on a long train ride and get into all kinds of misadventures. It's very
awesome.
funny.
It's a classic Jack. If you want a quintessential Jack Nicholson movie, that's one of them.
Yeah.
All
You'll love it.
Quote of the week.
Quote of the week. Well, last week's was, you're all acting like there's only two options, dying here or dying there. And if you guessed Prince Caspian from Chronicles of Narnia, you were correct. And
Terrible.
I thought that was a good quote.
We should do a whole show on Narnia movies. How terrible they are. Go ahead.
Anyway, this week's you might like better. All right. Don't you dare say what you said to the boys back there again. I don't know. Those 3 words will kill a crew dead as a depth charge. You're the skipper now, and the skipper always knows what to do, whether he does or not. I know it's a long quote.
It's the longest quote of the week of all time.
But I love it. It's a great life lesson.
You'll have to do it again. Ain't nobody picked up on it.
I know, but it's a great life lesson. It is long, but stay with me, folks.
Yeah.
One more time. Don't you dare what you say. Don't you dare.
You got to start
over.
No. I won't say anything. Go.
I was correcting myself.
I'm not going to look at you. So say it right.
Don't you dare say what you said to the boys back there again. I don't know. Those 3 words will kill a crew, dead as a depth charge. You're the skipper now, and the skipper always knows what to do, whether he does or not. So,
I actually knew this one. Weird.
Really? You didn't know that
I
one?
knew this one because I remember who said it, and I think I've actually used that example to people before.
Yeah, it's a great life lesson.
Yeah,
so hopefully you'll be able to put in your guesses.
When I worked at Central, I would actually use that because one of the things I had manager over people, I would tell that to employees, and I'd tell them one of my rules was they never tell me I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know, go find the answer, but never tell me you don't know. That was like one of those things I did.
Yeah.
It worked for the most part. All right.
Yes.
And if you want to guess, that killed the show dead. If you want to guess, go to our Facebook wall and post on the Incredible Hoax Facebook page, or you can email us at hoke@redseatelevision.com. That's hoke@redseatelevision.com. And with that, oh yeah, one more last thing. I almost forgot. Sunday, January 2nd, 10 p.m. Central Standard Time. Channel Fox 44. On Time Warner, that's what? 14
on Time Warner.
Time Warner. Cowboy and Lucky premieres the very first episode. And you better be watching it. Because he'll be.
That's right.
And I will be. You don't want to be left out in the cold like a loser, do you?
Yeah.
You want to watch the show. That's for sure.
I'm not usually one for conformity, except this time.
You're going to be like everybody else. You're going to watch the show.
This time you want to be in the crowd.
Yeah. We want all of Central Texas watching it. From coast to shining coast of Central Texas. All right. With that, I bid you.
See you, everybody.